Welcome again, everyone. My name is Jackie Lewis, and today we're going to show you how to save time and manage your showings like a pro with Showing Time for the MLS. Now, this management feature is being brought to you as a courtesy of Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors. Now, just a couple of quick notes before we get started. Now, this webinar, it is a one-way broadcast, so you as the audience, you will be muted. However, to get audio, you can either listen by phone by dialing in and entering the access code in the audio pin, or you can select your computer audio and listen in with your headsets or your computer speakers. Now, because this is a one-way broadcast, if you happen to have any questions at any point during this session, just submit your questions in the questions panel and we'll make sure to get those answered for you at the end of the session. Now, we're also recording this webinar. So anyone that did register, they will receive a link to a video recording later that can be watched at your own convenience. Here's our agenda of what we're going to be going over this morning. Now, our goal is to make sure you're comfortable with accessing the Showing Time system. This includes setting up and managing your listings and your feedback, and even creating tours for your buyers with our very own Showing Cart tool. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, there's going to be several ways you can access the Showing Time for the MLS system, starting with your log on to Paragon. Once you're logged into Paragon, you're going to click on Preferences in the top toolbar. And from there, you're going to click on the Showing Time Setup. Now, that's going to automatically authenticate you into your Showing Time dashboard, where you'll notice that there was no extra login or password required. Here, you're going to see a snapshot of your activity, like showings requested on your listings and indicators, letting you know that you have items that need your attention. And on the left, you're going to see your side menu. This is where you're going to see all the specific tabs that make up the navigation for the site. So we're going to get started with the basics of setting up secured showing instructions on your listings as a listing agent. To manage a specific listing from your side menu, you're going to tap on that listing setup tab. This is going to populate your inventory where you can click on the listing that you'd like to edit or manage. Now, this opens up your listing worksheet, and the listing worksheet is the main page that you go to edit all of the settings for a specific listing. We're going to get started with that appointment settings section. Now, the appointment type, that's the identifier for buyers agents. It instructs them how to schedule a showing on your listing. Now, there's 3 appointment types that you can choose from here. There's an appointment required, which is the default type selected here and most often used by agents. That means that when a buyer's agent requests a showing online, they're going to have to wait for your confirmation before they can receive the access information on this property. Then there's courtesy call and go and show, typically used with vacant properties or homes on lockboxes. And then there's view instructions only, really great for vacant lots, subdivided land, or new construction properties. So with our default appointment required selected, we're going to continue with the workflow. As we go down, we're going to come to the access information section, and this is where you're going to be able to add the secure access information, like the access details and the alarm details for the property. Now, under the access details, this is where you select how that buyer's agent will gain access to that property, such as the lockbox type, or maybe if it's the owner that's providing the access. And for your alarm details, you can add those here, and they will only be visible after this showing has been confirmed when it's set as an appointment required. Continuing on, you're going to come to the additional instructions box. Now, this is a text box where you can add additional information that will also appear after the appointment confirmation. So you can choose from predefined notes, or you can add your own, adding things like if there's pets in the home, or please remove your shoes, or don't forget to leave feedback. Now, just so you know, and I'll remind you of this several times throughout this session, with any open text box in Showing Time for the MLS, we do follow NAR guidelines per your association. And if requested, we will provide them with the information that has been entered. If you make any changes, please remember to save your changes at the top of the screen to save the instructions here for this listing. So now we're going to move on to online scheduling and how you're notified of the system. But before we do that, we want to point out something very important to you as agents. When you receive notifications from our ShowingTime system, we ask that you please do not forward your notifications to anyone for any reason, and that includes your owners. Now, with ShowingTime's emails and text notifications, they contain temporary links. They're unique to each member and they're only available for a limited time. But what they do is they provide you easy access to quickly respond to your appointments and your feedback without having to enter a username or passwords. And as busy agents on the go, that helps you streamline your workflow and free up some of your time so you can focus on other tasks as well. So just as you wouldn't share your password with anyone, you want to make sure you never forward the notifications you receive from ShowingTime to anyone else, again, including your clients. Now, with that being said, there's 4 ways you can be notified from the system. The first way is text notification, where you can receive a text message and you can reply with a Y to confirm that request or an N to decline that showing request. The second way is email, which is also your default setting. Now, as a listing agent, when you tap on that email, you can take action on that request. And then the third way, this is Showing Voice, ShowingTime's very own automated voice call system. It walks you through some prompts like press 1 to confirm, 2 to replay, or 3 to decline that showing request. And then the fourth way, this is when you're using the ShowingTime mobile app. You can receive push notifications on your smart device, and tapping on that notification, it's going to open up that app, allowing you to further respond or take action on that request. Now, let's go ahead and schedule some showings. Now, with ShowingTime for the MLS, again, there are 3 different appointment types that as a buyer's agent that you can schedule on. We're going to start with that appointment required. Again, this is the default appointment type that most listing agents use for their listings. Let's start as a buyer's agent. We're going to request a showing on a property. So in the listings detail page, we're going to click on that ShowingTime tile and select to schedule a showing. That's going to bring us to the first step in scheduling online. This is where you're going to see the details of that property you're requesting to show, along with your buyer agent profile information. Now here, by checking or unchecking the boxes, you choose how you like to be notified for your confirmations or any updates on your requests. You can select any of these methods, again, checking or unchecking the boxes. If you make any changes here, they will save for any future requests that you submit. Now, if this is going to be your first time requesting a showing in ShowingTime, you're going to need to check to agree to the terms and the conditions. You'll only have to do this once as well because it's also saved for future requests. So if everything looks good, you're going to tap to schedule a single showing. That's going to bring you to the scheduling calendar where you're going to select the date and time to show the property. Now, just so you know, any time slots showing in black means that they're not available. Time may have passed already, or there could be some showing restrictions in place. Time slots in gray, they are available, but they do require a lead time, a short notice to that listing agent or possibly that owner. Now, time slots that say request or confirm, they're not necessarily other appointments on this listing. These are your own appointments as buyer's agents. So it's letting you know that you either have an appointment already confirmed for that time or you have a request that's out for that time. This prevents you from overbooking yourself when you're scheduling your new appointments. Now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and select an available time as displayed in white, and that's going to bring you to the last step of the request. This is where we indicate the type of appointment you're scheduling, the estimated end time of that appointment, and then here you can add your buyer's name. Now, adding your buyer's name is totally optional, but it is a great way for you to stay organized with all the showings that you've had for them. You can even create a report of all the listings that you've shown, and you don't have to worry. The listing agent will never see this. This is just an internal reference tool for you. And then finally, you're going to see a text box allowing you to ask questions or provide information for the listing agent. Again, with any open text box in ShowingTime for the MLS, we follow NAR guidelines. If everything looks good, we're going to tap to request that appointment. Now, this screen lets us know that that request has been submitted successfully, but remember, it's not yet confirmed. That listing agent must confirm that request, and that'll be the case for any appointment required listing. This is typical of occupied homes where there may be an owner or occupant in place at the property. The listing agent or possibly even that owner will confirm if that requested time works. So now we're going to pivot over to the other side of scheduling as the listing agent. Now, as a listing agent, when that request comes through, you're going to be notified, and all the details of that request will be provided in the email, such as the listing information as well as the date and time of that appointment request. Looking at the default email here to take action, I just tap on the action required button. This populates me back into the system. Again, I can see the appointment details. I can see that showing agent information. It's going to also have their contact information here, just in case you may possibly want to reach out with a phone call or a text. Next, you're going to see all the details here. You're going to scroll to the bottom, and this is where you're going to see the showing instructions. Now, this information is pre-filled, but again, if you need to add anything here, you can do so. So under the access details, you're going to again confirm the access information on how they'll access this property. Those alarm details, is the alarm activated? Does it need to be deactivated upon leaving the property? And again, those showing instructions. Once again, and as I mentioned, we do follow NAR guidelines per your association in any open text box. If everything looks good, you're going to tap to confirm that appointment request. That's going to in turn send that confirmation to everyone on the listing agent side, like the listing agent, the co-listing agent, and the buyer's agent side. They're also going to receive their confirmation once this appointment has been confirmed for showing. Now, there's two other ways that listings can be configured to receive the appointment request, and the next one is go and show. It's very similar to your appointment required, but after clicking to schedule a showing, you're going to go to the calendar, you're going to choose the available time displayed in white. You're going to complete the request form, tap to request the appointment, but this time, since this setting is go and show, you'll notice that the confirmation is automatic. That means as a buying agent, you're going to be able to view the access details immediately, and that information will be sent to all of your notification types that you have enabled. Now, the go and show is great to use for your vacant properties, your homes on lock boxes, or maybe you have a seller who's eager to get as many showings as quickly as possible. And then the third way to configure your listings is the view instructions only setting. Now, this appointment type is a little bit different from the other two, where after selecting to schedule a single showing, you'll see that there is no scheduling calendar. Agents are going to immediately see the instructions on how to access or further schedule on this listing. Agents have the options to print this out or email it to yourselves, but if you have the mobile app downloaded, you'll be able to view those instructions there. Now, this view instructions only settings, again, this is great for vacant lots, subdivided land, new construction properties where the sales office handles the appointments. You can add their information under that additional instructions box, and that showing agent will know to reach out to them directly. Now that we've covered single showings, we're going to show you how to build a buyer tour using the showing cart tool. Now, this is just like online shopping. You can create as many carts as you want, and you can check out in a single transaction. Again, as a buyer's agent, we're going to select the property, tap to schedule a showing. But this time, instead of scheduling a single showing, we're going to select to add this to our showing cart. So now we're going to start to build a tour. We're going to select the date we want the tour to occur. We're going to add the buyer's name. We can also add a description here of that tour. So maybe you're dealing with single-story homes or homes with pools today. You can add that as the description for your buyer. If everything looks good, just tap OK. That listing that we selected is now populated into our showing cart. Now, this is the screen that you're going to use to build your tour. You're going to get your driving directions here and even send a tour list to your buyer. But it doesn't make sense to create a tour with just one listing. So let's walk through a couple of different options that you have. If you happen to know the listings by their listing ID numbers, you can enter them here. Just separate them by a comma and then tap on Go. Those listings will then be simultaneously added into your showing cart. Another way that you can add multiple listings is through Paragon itself. So let's say you did a search of your client's criteria. In your spreadsheet, you're going to select the listings that you want to add by checking them off. Once you've made your selections, You're going to tap on the Actions button. You're going to click on Showing Time, and you'll notice this time that the only option is to add those listings into the showing cart. You also have the option to add listings by their addresses. So maybe you've been jotting down some addresses, or your client calls you to check on an address to add to the tour. You can do this by tapping on Add Listing Stop. Here you're going to search for that address of that property. Once it populates, tap on Search to see if it's in your MLS. Then you're going to tap on it, and it's going to automatically be added into your tour. You also have the option to add some non-MLS stops to your tour as well. So maybe you have a for sale by owner property that you've gotten permission to show. Or maybe you want to meet with your buyers at the office or the coffee shop before the tour even starts. Now you can add other stops by just tapping on the Add Other Stop tab. Enter the descriptor address information. Once it populates, you're going to tap to add that stop. Now that stop is now added into your tour. And as you're adding these listings and these addresses, your driving directions are automatically being created for you. You can access the turn-by-turn directions by just tapping on the turn-by-turn button at the bottom of your cart. Now, that feature is really great because it will then start to show you the drive time between each of your showings. And it's very helpful when you begin to factor in your appointment times when you're ready to select the appointments. Now, if you're required to record your mileage, or if you do so for your taxes, this is a great way to get those numbers. Now let's go back to rearranging the tour and choosing your starting point. So with Showing Cart, you can drag and drop these addresses and listings in any order that you desire. Now, since we mentioned we wanted to meet with the client at maybe the office or the coffee shop, we're going to click on that address and we're going to drag it to the top. And now our tour is going to start at that address. You can use that same process with your other listings if you know the order your client wants to see the properties. But what we recommend for you is that once you have your first stop set, that instead you tap on the Smart Route button at the bottom of your cart. What this is going to do when you tap on Smart Route is the system is going to automatically calculate the best route for your tour, and this is all based upon your starting point. So you want to get your first stop set first before you tap on Smart Route. Now, after you have your tour route in order, you're going to start selecting those appointment times. You're going to start with that first address or listing. You're going to click to pick the time, select the type of appointment it is, a start time, estimated end time, add any notes, and then you're going to click to save to continue setting the appointments for the remaining listings and addresses. And on the right side of your screen, you're going to notice that you have a nice visual and you'll be able to see if either of your appointments are overlapping each other. Now, just like that, just like your online shopping, you can now check out. You can request to show all of these listings at the same time. You don't have to do this one by one. And all you have to do is tap on the Send a Request button. That's going to send that request simultaneously for all of these listings. And you're going to notice that your appointment column, it changes. The Statum column has changed. And now the Go and Show listings, they're confirmed instantly. The appointment required listings, they're waiting for confirmation from that listing agent, or again, possibly that seller if they've been added. And those View Instructions Only listings, they're providing a link allowing you to view the instruction information on how to further access this listing. Now, while your showings are being requested for your showing cart, you can continue to work on other things, and you can come back at any time to check the status of your tour. To do this, from your side menu under Showings, you're going to tap on the Showing Cart tab. That's going to open up your showing cart calendar where you can select the tour that you'd like to manage. Now, in our example here, you can see that all of our requests, they've been confirmed. We're now ready to take our buyer on the tour. We recommend that you provide this information to your buyer as a tour itinerary. So maybe you are meeting with your clients and you want a nice printout. Just tap on that printer button and you can print out a nice itinerary to present to your buyers. Or if you want to email it, just tap on the envelope. That's going to open up a window with a link allowing you to further compose on that message and send out the tour. Now, the tour in that link is going to look like this. It's going to have all the listings together. It's going to have the date and time of the tour, your information, a map of the tour route, and even the little car with the driving directions. So now let's look at your agent settings via the agent setup. Now to get there, we're going to go to your dashboard and we're going to click on Edit Profile, or to get there quickly, just click on your name and photo on the side menu. Once you're in your profile, if you wanted to upload a new headshot, you can click on the upload arrow here. You can select that photo from your computer and it will now be your profile picture. Remember, this is just for showing time for the MLS. It is not for your MLS. This is the image that will be sent out on your emails and any reports that you send out from our system. And in the profile basics section, we want you to check and confirm that your contact details are correct here, especially as this is the area where you're going to indicate a mobile phone number enabling you to receive text message notifications from our system. As you scroll down a bit in this section as your listing agent preferences section. Now, this is where you go to set the defaults across the board that you like applied to your listings when they go live on the market. We recommend that you adjust these settings for whatever your average listing is like. So for example, you can see here that our default appointment type is appointment required. But let's say you only deal with vacant properties. You would set that to go and show. If you only dealt with land or new construction or new home sales, you definitely make that a view instructions only. And then here, this is where you select your notification types by default. You can select any combination of these options by checking or unchecking the boxes. We do advise you, though, to at least check 2 of these options. Now, you also have the option for feedback requests. Now, after a buyer's agent requests a showing on your listings, they're going to automatically receive a request for feedback from you. This is where you go to edit the settings. For example, do you want to request feedback? How many times would you like to resend that request, and how many days in between if it goes unanswered from that showing agent? If you make any changes to your default settings or any settings, you want to remember to save your changes at the top of the screen. Now, here in your default settings, when you save your changes, there's going to be an alert window popping up asking you, how do you like to proceed with those changes? Do you want to save this new update and update all your listings to what you just set? Or do you want to just add this for new listings only, meaning that you'll touch any listings that already exist individually? After making your selection, you're going to continue on with your profile settings. Now, as a buyer's agent, you have some default setting types that you can adjust as well. So maybe you have different contact information that you use as a buyer's agent. And then you can add your default appointment scheduling. Like, how long is your typical appointment and what's the type of appointment you usually schedule for? You'll also notice here that you can add the type of lockbox access that you have as a showing agent. This is where you also go to choose your notification types and update your email addresses for any additional preferences. Now, this is where you're going to see your email address already added here for mobile app access. So speaking of that, we're going to move right into the ShowingTime mobile app. Now, you can download the mobile app, allowing you to access the system through any smart device. So now we're going to show you the best process in doing that. Again, back at your profile, you're going to scroll down to the mobile app access area and you're going to tap on Send Authentication Link. Now, what that's doing is it's sending you an email to the email address that's already pre-filled here that we got from your association. You're going to open that email on your smart device, your smartphone, your iPad, your tablet. You're going to tap to download that app. That's going to direct you to the correct place to download from either your Apple iOS or your Google Play Store. Once the app has been installed, do not open it, but instead go right back to your same email. You're going to scroll down just a little bit and you're going to see another option that says log in. Tapping on login there, you're going to notice that majority of the features that we've gone over so far, they also exist within that mobile app. This is a really great way to keep showing time for the MLS with you while you're out in the field. Also, just so you know, any activities that you perform on the app or the desktop, they sync seamlessly together. So you do not have to do things twice. So now let's talk about ShowingTime messaging, which can also be done from the mobile app. So with ShowingTime messaging, you can send peer-to-peer messages and stay connected. Now, to do this in your mobile app, all you have to do is tap on that conversation icon, which is also the same place that's going to let you know that you have a new message in the chat area. You can tap on any one of your existing conversations to continue a conversation. You can even filter your conversations by address or agent. And if you wanted to start a new conversation, you just tap on the plus button at the bottom of the screen. This again is where you're able to start a new conversation, and you can search for that agent. You can just start typing in that agent's last name or that listing information, and it's going to populate for you, allowing you to have a conversation with that other agent. So maybe you met at a conference, or maybe you're out at a showing right now and you have a question for that listing agent and you don't want to wait till you get back to the office to send an email. You can use peer-to-peer messaging. And again, that information, it will carry over to your desktop. So if you wanted to continue that conversation when you got back to your office and you go to your desktop, just tap on messaging. Again, here you can sort and filter. You can even begin a new conversation by tapping on the plus button at the bottom of the screen. Again, I must make you aware that any open text box in the ShowingTime for the MLS system follows NAR guidelines per your association. So please be very careful when you're entering conversations in the peer-to-peer messaging. So now let's circle back to the remainder of your settings in the listing worksheet. As a reminder, from your side menu, you're going to click on the Listing Setup tab, populating your inventory where you select the listing that you'd like to manage. Once you're in that listing worksheet, you're going to see under the appointment settings that there is an option for you to select the feedback template that you'd like to use. Now, this is the questionnaire again that goes out to buyers agents after they show your listings. Now, if you click on that drop down, you're going to see a selection of templates, or if you like, you can customize your own template. Now, to do this, you're going to start by clicking on feedback on your side menu. Once you tap on feedback, what you're going to notice is that you have some tabs where you can look at feedback on your listings. You can even look at the feedback on listings that you've shown. And you have several icons down the side allowing you to manage the feedback on those listings. So again, to create your own template, you just tap on feedback, then you tap on form designs and settings. Here you're going to click on the feedback form, allowing you to customize the template that's shown at the top. Here you can add or delete questions. You can even edit those existing questions if you don't like the way they flow. You can even start from scratch by creating a brand new template. To do this, you just tap on Create New Template, and this is where you're going to start to select the types of responses that you like to add in. Like, do you want multiple choice questions or free text questions? Now, all we recommend that you do here is that you name each of your templates something unique so they're easy for you to identify when you're selecting them from the drop-down menu. And you also pay attention to how many questions you add to your feedback. Remember, it's hard to get feedback from some agents, so you don't want to put too many questions in there. Now, let's go back to your listing setup. Here you're going to notice at the top that there's a drop down. This allows you to toggle between your different listings. So if you wanted to change the feedback on another listing, you just click on the drop down. Here you change that appointment type and that feedback template. Moving on, we're going to come to the contact section, and this is where you go to add or edit your co-listing agents. Now, just so you know, if you add a co-listing agent to your listing, when you put that listing into Paragon, that co-listing agent is already going to live here. They'll already be present in this section. But in ShowingTime for the MLS, a co-listing agent does not have to be a formal co-lister. This can be a team member, maybe you have your own assistant, or maybe there's someone in the office that's going to help you with your scheduling while you're away. You can add that person as a co-listing agent, and then they're going to have their own role with their contact information, allowing you to select how they help you manage this listing. And then for your owners, you can also add your owners. So if your owners want to be involved, maybe they want to confirm the showings, maybe they're residing in the property. You tap on Add Owner Occupant, tap Add New, add all the different ways that that owner states that they want to be notified about this property, and then just tap to save. Now, once you've done that, that owner now also appears in the contact section. And now you select how that owner and that co-listing agent interact with your system. This first column, it notifies them of the appointment request and ask how those requests can be confirmed. The second column notifies them of the confirmations or cancellations if that happens. Also worth noting right here, when you're checking for your seller to receive email notifications, you're also saving your seller's email address, and they're going to receive an invitation on your behalf to create their own Home by ShowingTime experience. Now, this is totally optional, but it allows your owners to create their own experience where they're able to do so many things through Home by ShowingTime. Now, it allows them to see all the showing activity on their property. They can pull up feedback that you shared with them. And if they have more than one property for sale, they can pull up individual profiles for each one separately. Now, your buyers, they also get this invitation, but they have to be added to that showing request when you're requesting that appointment. And remember, you must also add their email address if you want them to receive this invitation. Now, again, this is totally optional, but it's a really nice way to keep your clients in the loop. Now we're going to circle back to that listing worksheet because the last thing I want to show you here is this appointment restriction section, because this is the section that affects the black and grayed out time slots on your appointment calendar for your listings. Here you can set advance notice, like no same day appointments. So let's say you do have an occupant in place and it's a law or a rule that you must give 6 hours or no same day appointments. You can set no same day, or you can set a required lead time. If you set a lead time, it's going to show a black on that calendar and agents will not be able to schedule during that time frame. Now with your suggested lead time, it's going to show up as gray. They will be able to schedule, but they're going to be reminded it's short notice and it may not be available for showing. You also have the option to add some minimum and maximum appointment lengths. Now, just so you know, the minimum appointment length was something that we introduced due to the pandemic when inventory was low. The demand was so high with back-to-back showings, and many agents, they were trying to squeeze themselves into these 15-minute windows, which we know in most cases is not enough time to show a home. So it really helps that that agent is able to set a minimum and a maximum, even for those agents that do take a long time with their clients inside of a home. You can set this anywhere from 15 minutes up to 90 minutes. Here you click on the drop down and you select what is the minimum or maximum appointment length. Now, just so you know, this does not include any appraisals, any inspections, or any walkthroughs. They do not have an appointment length maximum. You also have the option to add some buffer time between your appointments and allow for scheduling overlaps. Now, by default, we have allow scheduling overlaps set to no. That means that only one agent can set an appointment at a time on your listing. And for the buffer time, so maybe you do have an owner or occupant in place, and maybe they are going to step outside the home for the showing. Maybe they'd like 15 or 30 minutes in between those appointments to disinfect or even touch bases with you. To set your buffer time, just click on this drop down and select how much time you'd like to block off between those appointments. And if you and your seller do decide that you want to allow for those overlapping appointments, you can set this to yes, please tell the showing agent ahead of time, or yes, no need to tell the showing agent. From there, you're going to click on the drop down and set how many appointments that you allow to be scheduled at the same time on that scheduling calendar. Additionally, here, this is where you go to add restrictions on your listings. So maybe you have an owner or an occupant in place and they have a toddler and they say no showings daily from noon until 2, that's nap time. Or maybe your client has a religious holiday coming up. You can tap to add new showing restriction and you can block off those days and times, and showing agents will not be allowed to request during those restricted times. And our access information that we covered previously, again, this information will not be sent out until that appointment is confirmed. Now on to the listing activity report. This is the log that shows you all the activity on your listing since the point that it goes live in the system. To access the listing activity report, you're going to tap on that tab, listing activity report, from that listing worksheet. In this report, you're going to be able to see your showings per month. You're going to have a graphical summary of all the feedback you've received. As well, you're going to have the individual feedback responses from those showing agents. Now, just so you know, we do not publish your feedback to your sellers automatically. You have the option, and we encourage you, please review your feedback first. That way you remove any colorful or distasteful language. Then after your review, you decide if you want to publish this on to your seller. And then here in the activity details section, this is where you see all the showing activity, allowing you to follow up with those buyers agents as you need. Now, earlier we mentioned that view instructions only listing settings. This is where you're going to be able to see which buyers agents actually viewed those instructions. You're going to see their contact information as well as the date and the time that they actually access the information. Now, if you want to share this report with your seller, please, again, do not forward your notifications from the ShowingTime system. Do not forward your agent version of this report. Instead, you go back to that listing worksheet and you tap to select the homeowner version. You're going to notice here that their version is very similar to your agent version. However, the only feedback displayed is feedback that you've published after you reviewed it. And the activity details do not display any buyer agent information, so you don't have to worry that your sellers will be able to see it. Now, for any office level users with us today, managing brokers, administrative staff, office managers, on your side menu, you're also going to have the office setup tab. And this is where you go to adjust your office level settings. And if you wanted to make some changes, let's say to the office logo or your email template, you just tap on branding. And this is where you can upload a new logo and even set the trim color that goes out on the emails on behalf of your agents. You can even preview what it looks like before you save it. So now let's finish this off with your help and support. So again, as you know, our ShowingTime disclaimers cannot be modified. The pop-up in the middle shows upon entry into the ShowingTime system on the desktop or the mobile app. And again, I have to say we do follow NAR guidelines per your association. If you do need additional support, please click on the Help and Support tab from your side menu. This is where you're going to be able to search in the search bar for videos and step-by-step tutorial articles that will walk you through the entire system. And if you feel like you need additional support, you always have additional support available to you. We do encourage you, however, to please connect with them through live chat. Live chat will put you on with a technician. You can share your screen for troubleshooting. And if needed, you can even coordinate a phone call right then for assistance. Well, that concludes our training on ShowingTime for the MLS. And again, we did record this session. So in a few hours, everyone that registered will receive a link to that recording. I'm going to go ahead and check the questions box now. So if you've been waiting to ask a question, please feel free to do so now and we'll get it answered for you. If you're not going to be able to hang around for the Q&A, again, I thank you for joining us and have a great rest of your day. I'll check the questions box now.